Today in Portland, a controversial clean energy fund diversion, ICE facility news, data center tax breaks, surprising tax data, and a bold wildlife conservation move. I'm Dean Bark. Welcome to the City Report with Dean Bark in Portland, Oregon. All right, let's dive in. Our first story today is about a controversial plan that's gaining momentum here in Portland. A Multnomah County judge recently gave the green light to an initiative that aims to divert 25% of Portland's Clean Energy Fund towards hiring more police officers. This initiative, backed by Portland's police union, needs to make some procedural corrections and gather enough signatures by July 6 to make it onto the November ballot. Now, the Clean Energy Fund, for those not in the loop, was approved by voters back in 2018 and is intended to support carbon reduction and climate justice programs. It's been quite the success, generating about $200 million a year, which is more than anyone projected. Supporters of the initiative argue that the fund's surplus can handle both climate initiatives and increased police hiring. But opponents are concerned about misusing funds set aside for reducing carbon emissions. Diverting vital climate funds to police hiring seems like short-sighted budgeting, if you ask me. Moving on, let's pivot to the next story. Our Portland ICE facility is staying open despite quite a bit of activist pushback and legal scrutiny. Raymond Lee, our city administrator, confirmed that the facility will remain operational, although it's been the subject of ongoing protests and legislative scrutiny. Critics have been vocal about the facility's role in immigration enforcement and the use of tear gas during protests. The Portland City Council even passed legislation in December to regulate detention facilities, but they're still working on rules for enforcement. The facility's continued operation is justified, according to Lee, by the federal requirement for local check-ins, which seems to be a bit of a catch-22. Keeping the ICE facility open ignores the community's call for accountability, wouldn't you say? Let's transition to this. Oregon's data centers are facing a temporary exclusion from tax breaks. A legislative subcommittee recently blocked new data center projects from receiving tax breaks until 2027. This decision is driven by concerns over the environmental and economic impacts of these centers. Oregon's tax climate has been favorable, attracting tech giants like Amazon, Meta, and Google, but it seems our legislators want a closer look at how these data centers fit into our economic picture. Fun fact, data centers consume a whopping 11% of Oregon's electricity. Excluding them from tax breaks is a smart pause to evaluate long-term impacts. Well, that's one way to look at it. All right, next topic. New data is challenging the idea that wealthy folks are fleeing Multnomah County due to the preschool for all tax. This tax, which applies to high earners, was introduced in 2021. At first, data showed a decline in high-income filers, sparking some concerns. But by 2024, there was a 14% increase in high-income households paying the tax. While critics point to an economic recession, proponents of the tax urge us to reconsider the narrative. The data suggests the tax isn't driving away wealth. Perhaps it's time to focus on its benefits. Now that's worth discussing. Shifting gears, let's talk about Oregon's new move to raise the state's lodging tax to fund wildlife conservation. House Bill 4134 proposes a 1.25% increase, which would bring the lodging tax to 2.75%. The revenue would support the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife's programs, addressing funding shortfalls for non-game species conservation. While some business owners are concerned about the tax's potential impact on tourism, supporters argue that the increase is necessary for conservation efforts. The bill is expected to generate about $37 million annually for wildlife conservation. Raising the lodging tax is a necessary step to preserve Oregon's natural heritage. Let's not overcomplicate this. And that's where we'll leave it. That's the City Report with Dean Bark from Portland, Oregon. Have a great day and join us tomorrow for more updates.